Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the social media pages, including Facebook.com/Talk El Paso. All the other ones that we definitely have. It's been a busy day getting up to this point and just getting us on air for you here. So, yeah, Facebook.com/Talk El Paso, Twitter @Talk El Paso, YouTube, the Talk El Paso channel, and Twitch @Andrew J. Polk, honestly, Andrew J. Polk, or Talk El Paso, just about anywhere, and you can find us, as we already have Calvin Williams chiming in and tuning in over on the Facebook page. That's one of the better ways to have your commentary throughout the show, and that definitely is a focus that we have, is the discussion. So we're going to be laying out some pretty big concepts and big currents there, unless you've been under a particularly large and soundproof rock today, or really the last couple of months. The big news today probably didn't come any surprise to you. The best phrasing I've seen about it today is the worst kept secret in Texas politics at the moment. If you truly have no idea what I'm talking about, it involves a local notable who has gained national, depending on who you ask, notoriety or infamy over the political aspirations of one Robert Francis Beto O'Rourke. Yes, that announcement that everyone saw coming and would have been just flabbergasted, frankly, if it hadn't, has finally come to light there, as we are officially in the filing period here in November for the Texas primary elections that are going to be coming up in March. Yes, if you really were not on board or believing me when I said that the next election is fully here, well, here's your absolute proof. Beto O'Rourke has announced that he is running for governor of Texas. Much, all that stuff about Matthew McConaughey, I guess it hasn't really gone away, but not really panning out here at the moment. So we're going to break down a bit of that and, well, what can be divined at this point and what that really means, both what the current governor's office, Greg Abbott, is saying about it, as well as what the heck does this even mean right now? What are the policies? What are the actual positions being taken as opposed to a forget Greg Abbott kind of position? I mean, that's pretty transparently the main part of it, but we'll delve into it here just a little bit. The other thing we're going to want to get into today is an interesting wrinkle developing in one of those major school board selections for the new superintendent, particularly for the El Paso Independent School District. What the heck is going on there and what that's going to mean for that whole process. Interesting situation developing. There's some potential conflicts of interest. We'll delve into that here as well. But so let's get straight to it. Again, if you missed everything I was just saying, here's the real major news of the day.
I'm running for governor, and I want to tell you why.
So yes, that is, of course, El Paso native Robert Francis Beto O'Rourke here. And we got the video part of it. You can see I think that's off near Rim Road. I might be mistaken there. I think it's near the background anyway in the video. Again, you can see it. And we're playing a couple clips of it here. Before anyone starts roasting me online about that, we're going to break it down and what it actually means beyond the whole, a lot of people being like, yay or no or whatever, depending on your political affiliation and what you think is important here. Let's get into what the actual meat of this is and what the implications of it are. So, starting out, narratives are a very powerful thing during elections, obviously, particularly when we have those situations when people aren't showing up. Getting the story for them to get people out to vote for or against is absolutely a kind of critical part of it here. So this is how for this election, the narrative is being set up.
This past February, when the electricity grid failed and millions of our fellow Texans were without power, which meant that the lights wouldn't turn on, the heat wouldn't run, and pretty soon their pipes froze and the water stopped flowing. They were abandoned by those who were elected to serve and look out for them.
So again, start of the narrative here as we are talking about, okay, why run for governor after all this, after we'll get to a comment here we already got on here in just a second about for many other positions already. And the conversations I've been having with this today about people I know politically involved, just I've been seeing online, have been fascinating to say the least. But so this is the narrative being set up about, okay, power grid and by extension failure of local government or statewide government in addressing these issues. So let's get into then what is actually the policies being put forth there. I mean, this is the inciting narrative. This is the first video, about a 2-minute video put out on social media, YouTube, Twitter, etc. by this now, it was already a campaign, and now just finally admitting that they're a campaign out there. This is not much on the website currently, I will say, but here are some of the early indications of policy positions being talked about by this now finally declared run.
Like making sure that we have a functioning electricity grid, or that we're creating the best jobs in America right here in Texas, or that we have world-class schools, or that we make progress on the things that most of us actually agree on, like expanding Medicaid or legalizing marijuana.
So those are the kind of first early indications, more of an oppositional message at this moment. Anyway, very much what we're running against being put forth. Again, initial campaign video, hasn't been much changes to the main website there for particularly, like BetoO'Rourke.com. But there's some other points I want to make in here. But again, just continuing on with some of the more oppositional policies being mentioned here in this initial video.
Instead, they're focusing on the kind of extremist policies around abortion or permitless carry, or even in our schools, that really only divide us and keep us apart and stop us from working together on the truly big things that we want to achieve for one another.
The video goes on for like about another minute beyond that as well, talking about, you basically setting up the narrative, continuing with that whole thing, and a lot of the then online links, linking to things such as, Act Blue for donations, volunteering, things like that. One thing I did want to point out is we also have Leroy Chug joining us over on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Talk El Paso. One of the other things that is shown on things like the website, and keeps redirecting me to Powered by People, but that's actually a decent point to be made here, because not on the BetoO'Rourke.com website much information on policy positions. That's why I played that clip there. But there are further implications, a lot of discussion I've been having today with people involved in studying these things about, the actual logistics of this. Because, of course, as John Brazelton points out over on the Facebook page, that this is not anywhere near the first campaign, not even the first statewide campaign of a series of not exactly successful. They did not get him into office, very least, even though there's some kind of strange arguments out there about, well, it was the best Democratic performance in the Senate race previously, so it was a victory on its own. Yeah, but it wasn't a win. Now, was it close but no cigar? I mean, close only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and atomic weapons, right? So, sure, there was a machine built, but the question then comes out of them. We've talked about this a bit before. What actually remains out of that machine, that whole avowed effort of going county by county to every county in Texas, that, effort, what actually remains out of that here? So, you know what? We're going to take that break right now, and coming back from the break, we will get more into this and talk more about the actual implications here, what A, Greg Abbott is saying, and B, what this might actually mean for his race. So taking that break right now, coming back with more analysis on this, more of your comments over on the social media pages, and more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. In your day, you have things you need to get done, period. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to be up at any particular time now, would you? So whatever you're doing in your day, whether you're working early, finishing your day right now, or getting ready for a night shift or anything like that, something that I reach for at any time of day, particularly going into this show, is Clever Tea. K-L-E-V-R-T-E-A, stuff that you drink, that is. It gives me the boost and focus that I need. If you're like me, you've probably tried, downing as much coffee as humanly possible, the sugary sodas, the energy drinks that are made out of chemicals not present on this earth otherwise. I mean, all of that has its function, but it always has its downsides for me anyway. So when I tried Clever Tea, I found that it gave me that boost of energy that I need, plus also not leaving me jittery, not leaving me feeling like I was hovering a couple inches above the ground because of how fast I was moving, and keeps me focused and able to communicate with you all. So if you want to find it for yourself, you can order it online at clevertea.com. That's TEA.com to get your own box. Also find their listings of where you can find it in local stores. They're also out in the community on most weekends here at farmers markets. We can find your own bottles, but place your order today at clevertea.com. Make sure that you get it so that you can get the benefits going for you, and be sure to enter the code radio15 at checkout for your discount. That's radio15 at discount. So be sure to visit clevertea.com. That's KLEVRTEA.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Watch out for some slow-moving traffic on Lee Trevino Drive southbound between Montwood and Treywood Drive. There's also some heavy traffic on Zaragoza northbound between Harris and Vista del Sol. And watch out for construction that has the roadway reduced to one lane on Mesa Street northbound between Festival and Shadow Mountain Drive. I'm Marie Jourdain with El Paso Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's Breakfast Biscuit Sandwich. Just $1. Wendy's knows a better breakfast starts with a better biscuit. That's why you can get a hot and buttery Wendy's breakfast biscuit with bacon or sausage, fresh cracked egg, and cheese for just $1. Get your Wendy's Buck Biscuit Sandwich today. Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
You have homeowners insurance for a good reason, because without it, a fire, flood, or burglary could destroy you financially. But there's another major crime your homeowner's policy does not cover. It's called home title fraud. The FBI calls title fraud one of the fastest growing crimes, and it can ruin you financially, which is why you need Home Title Lock. Title fraud happens when a criminal forges your signature in documents stating you sold your home to him. Then he takes out loans against your home and leaves you with the payments. You'll spend a fortune in legal fees trying to prove you did not commit fraud. Home Title Lock puts a barrier around your home's title. The instant they detect anyone, from a cyber thief to a renter to a relative, trying to forge their way onto your home's title, they help shut it down. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you're already a victim, and enter radio for 30 days of free protection. That's code radio at HometitleLock.com.
I love the holidays, but I don't love being roommates with my siblings again. That's why I skip all the screaming matches and stay at Red Roof, so I can truly celebrate and relax in my own comfortable, clean, affordable room. Pets stay free at Red Roof, so I can bring Fido and decompress after a long day of small talk with the family without breaking the bank. And this season, you can get up to 20% off. Book your own space at redroof.com.
Hi, this is Rick from the Air Conditioning Company. How would you like to save $15,000 or more on your refrigerated air system? The Air Conditioning Company can help you do that. An improperly installed unit can cost you thousands and shorten the life of your equipment. Act now and get the best prices of the year on your AC and furnaces. Let our expert tech put money back in your pocket. Call 842-8615 today or log on to the airconditioningcompanyllc.com. The Air Conditioning Company. We love our company. License number 26622E.
There won't be much substance on your news feed until you add us. Just like us or click on the link at ktsmradio.com. El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Information is a very important part of my life anyway, and you're usually going around making decisions about yours. Being informed as you do whatever you're going to do in your day is absolutely an essential part of just modern life here. So something you can do to stay informed about the latest medical innovations and be a smart and informed consumer of medical services by tuning in every Saturday at noon to the Medical Hackers with Dr. Sandeep Rao, board-certified vascular interventionalist that helps you break down our complex medical system, navigate it more effectively with the healthcare hacks. Healthcare hacks in the kind of a life hacks vein of things, and things that you may not have known that can really help you deal with it in ways that, I've never heard of anyone saying, it's really fun dealing with healthcare these days. But this can help you be your own best advocate and, again, take control of your health. You can even submit your own questions by emailing rao@medicalhackers.com. That's RAO@medicalhackers.com. And again, be sure to tune in this coming Saturday at noon, right after the El Paso History Radio Show, for the Medical Hackers with Dr. Sandeep Rao, right here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the social media pages, including facebook.com/Talk El Paso and all of the others. A lot of conversation, people chiming in already, of course, about the major announcement. This should come as no surprise to anyone, or that it's our major topic here of the day. The announcement of the run for governor by Robert Francis Beto O'Rourke. So we'll be taking calls on that a little bit later. Some lots of commentary already going on here. We have Calvin Williams, John Brazelton, Leroy Chuck, Maria Kalman, and Leslie Jones just chiming in here. Not happy with the idea of it, saying zero executive experience. Robert's only accomplishment is being a lifelong juvenile delinquent. So not happy with the possibilities there. And also mentioning funding there, something else that Maria Kalman saying of being funded and paid to run, becoming wealthier with each campaign there. So not pleased with the run here. So if you want to voice your own opinion here ahead of us opening the phone lines at the end of this segment, welcome to do so over on those social pages here. Since we're going to be focusing on this a decent amount, I wanted to mention the other topic we had teased out there. That is specifically, according to our news partners over at KFOX 14, the EPISD school board has been in executive session for over 5 hours as of right now on Monday, where they're could be listing the finalists for their superintendent position. This also comes at the same time that local advocacy groups have been calling out the process for conflicts of interest, that one of the supposed finalists may be linked to one of the board of trustee members. So that's something that we'll maybe talk a little bit more about later, but that's still kind of developing right now. We'll see what EPISD comes out with. They have made no official comment on some of those implications or discussions so far. So again, stay tuned with them and a whole lot more here. So back to the main topic of the day, because there's a whole lot of air being taken out of the room. Of course, of that announcement of the campaign of the former El Paso congressman and former presidential candidate, I just got to say, there's something maybe a little bit wrong with the timing. The timing has really just irked me personally in a way that I'm frankly a little bit surprised about how this has been moved forward with, because, I mean, there were attack ads coming out before the even announcement was made. We got a clip of one of them going up there over on the social media pages here. We've played clips of them before, but literally, fully produced ads are out previous to this announcement here. Yeah, sure, it's the filing period right now, but I mean, come on. We've already interviewed a half dozen statewide candidates to this point. The timing has always been my personal irksome, maybe just being in news and such, and wondering, why can't you just admit what we all know you're already doing kind of thing. But I mean, yeah, there's already multiple ads. We got the Wrong Way O'Rourke ad, and then there was another one, this coming out of Governor Greg Abbott's campaign, more specifically there. I can see it there. That's the Wrong Way O'Rourke one. But yeah, it's just kind of a little ridiculous when you can't even admit there we go. And then taking other clips of it here. I mean, multiple produced ones. The new image coming out of the Greg Abbott campaign today, and the new statements being made specifically on it here, are about the relationship between, again, the former El Paso congressman and national. So specifically over from gregabbott.com, where this image is from, kind of a mashup picture, if you're not watching online, of both O'Rourke and of President Biden, kind of a split face by face. And then they also have a GIF that goes on over there of swapping between the faces, morphing into each other. So the actual statement coming out from Governor Greg Abbott's communications director, Texans for Greg Abbott, the campaign specifically here, Mark Miner said today that on the announcement of Robert Francis Beto O'Rourke's run for office yet again, as they put it, quote, "From Beto O'Rourke's reckless calls to defund the police to his dangerous support of the Biden administration's pro-open border policies, which have resulted in thousands of fentanyl deaths, Beto O'Rourke has demonstrated he has more in common with President Biden than he does with Texans." So that's part of the narrative being built there. So I wanted to talk a little bit more in this segment here about what are some of the implications of an actual, this run now actually happening, as again was incredibly widely speculated, because, yeah, I mean, everyone could see this coming. It was no doubt. I mean, even once there was that kind of slightly coy, stay tuned for a big announcement as another way to drive up signups, was kind of yeah, we all know it's going to be you running for governor. You're not going for president again at this point. And if you're going for senator again, good luck. I mean, yeah, this was all we saw coming. And given the polling and the back and forth, some of them saying that they're in a statistical dead heat, something still put Abbott up against. Again, I strongly caution anyone looking at the fortunes of our current governor, both in terms of political and in terms of war chest, to not underestimate Greg Abbott. I mean, he's been a Texas political animal for literal years at this point, better part of decades, if I'm not mistaken, and tens of millions of dollars in the war chest, ready to then roll out this full advertising. Kind of a soft launch here. Hadn't seen it in any traditional media, but seeing on social media online, these things posted. I'm sure it'll now start ramping up ahead of that. And so besides the points being made in that release here, the thought that occurs to me, particularly for the fortunes of Greg Abbott's campaign, is that this might be the best news that he could have gotten. Really, hear me out here. Particularly since we have had these challenges coming on the right, from the right wing to Governor Greg Abbott's positions, particularly related to his response and the policies going into place to the coronavirus pandemic. There was some people seeking to find some daylight between Abbott and his voter base on this. And if anything, this is now going to potentially strengthen his position, I got to say, saying, no, we can't pay attention to these challengers coming from the right. All you're going to be doing is now emboldening this candidate or making it easier for the Democrat to try and challenge here. Or even just moreover being that, hey, no, we have to focus solely on this challenge here. Or even just being able to focus all the messaging and ignore what's, frankly, to a size and political machine that Abbott does have, might be construed as just, gnats and just swatting them off here. So I really got to wonder how much, frankly, how happy the Abbott campaign has to be that such a well-known and well-narrative-based opponent has now cropped up for them. I think they might be, frankly, very happy that this announcement is finally coming. I mean, they were chomping at the bit already of releasing ads for someone who wasn't even technically in the race yet. I mean, that shows something. I think that they're probably going to be very happy about all of this going on here. A lot of commentary going on, particularly on the social media pages. Edgar Ortiz saying, I can't wait to watch Francis fail again. This should be fun. It should be an interesting campaign here. Leslie Jones saying, given the current mood of Texas in general, another D change to R over the weekend, open borders and gun grabs are a loser. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, I think, the policy is going to be focused on. It was very interesting that in the announcement here that the constitutional carry, open carry, permitless carry was focused on there, because I really got to wonder if that's a weakness of the whole campaign position. He hasn't been tried in an electorate setting since those, hell yes, we'll take your AR-15s, your AK-47 comments out there. And I can only imagine that that's probably going to be a ringtone for the campaign workers on the Greg Abbott side of things, and just, put it forth out just constantly, because there is certainly a perception of what it is in Texas. Some of the national stuff coming out about this whole racing campaign has been very interesting to see, particularly as it's been put forth to what is the strength of Democrats in Texas. You may recall there was that whole blue wave idea, including up to and including some local politicians in that then go to the state house, local state reps announcing, Joe Moody specifically announcing his bid for the Speaker of the Texas House of Representatives in anticipation of that. Obviously did not materialize. So that's part of the national narrative, which is very interesting to me that they're picking up on that. I don't think it's going to come down even to that close here. But the other point I wanted to make here is that about the machine. So over on BetoO'Rourke.com, which all this is coming from, not any policy positions just yet. That's why we played those clips. But they do have a mention of, in between the campaigns, that he founds and currently leads Powered by People, a Texas-based organization that works to expand democracy and produce democratic victories through voter registration and direct voter engagement. Take that as you will. But this one specifically saying that Powered by People has helped registered over 250,000 unregistered Texans to vote since its inception in December 2019. This is something I've been saying for a minute, and some of y'all give me flack for it, but this is why it's important to discuss here, recognizing the underlying factors here that, to an extent, how much remains to be seen, particularly when we start seeing donation numbers, amongst other things, some of the early indicators that at least part of the machine that was built in some of those original statewide runs may not have gone away overall. So potentially making an underestimation here would also be a mistake. But we are overdue for a break right now. So coming back from the break, we're going to open up the phone lines and do what we normally do when taking those calls. So that number to call, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. A lot to talk about today. A lot of stuff to go over here. We'll get back to it after this break with more Talk El Paso on News Radio 690. Whatever you're doing, going about your day, keep a little bit of peace of mind in your back pocket, in the back of your mind, by knowing where to go when you run into those day disruptors. You know what I'm talking about. Those things that you can't put down on a calendar, otherwise you'd hopefully avoid them, but make it so you cannot continue with your day as planned. You know, those aches, those breaks, those sprains, bruises, sniffles, testing requirements, vaccinations needed, whatever it is, you can get taken care of quickly and with fast and friendly 5-star medical treatment by visiting Upper Valley Urgent Care Center at 121 East Red Road. That's basically at I-10 and Red Road, just down the hill a little bit with a big green sign. 20 exam rooms to take care of you whenever you need it, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Monday through Monday, 7 days a week here. So it's not even just we can't get there right now. It's the weekend. No, they're there for you and can help take care of you, Doc Carpenter and his team. They are celebrating their 15th anniversary this fall and are a VA-authorized urgent care provider. All those important stuff for just you, so you can have that peace of mind of knowing what to do if you need it. Upper Valley Urgent Care Center.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, I'm Erica Castillo with this KFOX 14 News Update. Last week's COVID-19 data for El Paso was provided this morning, and the data shows why city and county leaders expressed so much concern Friday. Coronavirus cases are rapidly increasing. There were 2,069 new COVID-19 cases reported. Among the cases, 531 new breakthrough cases. 8 people passed away. All of them had underlying health conditions. The youngest was a woman in her 40s. None of the deaths were breakthrough COVID-19 deaths. The cumulative total of breakthrough deaths remains at 35. And El Paso native and former Congressman Beto O'Rourke today announced he's running for governor of Texas. O'Rourke made the announcement in a 2-minute video on Twitter. Governor Greg Abbott responded, saying O'Rourke has more in common with President Joe Biden than he does with Texans, with his calls to defund the police and open borders. I'm Erica Castillo with his KFOX 14 News Update.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
Watch out for heavy traffic on George Theater southbound between Vista del Sol and Rojas Drive. Also, there's an accident that could cause delays on Viscount Boulevard eastbound just east of Airway Boulevard. And there's construction that has the roadway reduced to 1 lane on Dyer Street, both northbound and southbound between Castee and Johnson Avenue. I'm Marae Jourdain with El Paso Traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, this is Chief Meteorologist Sandra Diaz. We started off our work week with some pretty cold temperatures in the morning. By the afternoon, with plenty of sunshine, temperatures were once again above average. But now as we get into the overnight hours, we can expect to have yet another cold night, followed by near record warmth for Tuesday. By Wednesday night into Thursday, we've got increasing winds with the arriving of a much colder air mass.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. During Lowe's Provember event, new members of their Pro Loyalty program get a welcome kit via mail, and every member gets a chance to win amazing prizes. Provember, now through November 24th. Lowe's, the new home for pros.
Hey folks, this is Andrew J. Polk. I'm all about local, and El Paso-based Clever Tea is changing how to stay refreshed and focused in the borderland and beyond with a masterfully crafted blend of hand-picked oolong tea infused with crisp pineapple, creamy coconut, and more in every sip with just the right amount of sweetness. Find it in boxes and bottles at the Brown Street Market, CBD Vita, Upper Valley Mercantile, House of Hoops, and Muscle Confusion Gym, and Cooking Time. Or order online and find special discounts at clevertea.com. That's KLEVRT.com. Be sure to tune in to Talk El Paso Monday through Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. for the biggest stories and latest news affecting the borderland, brought to you in part by Advocate Health Advisors. So join me, Andrew J. Polk, live weekdays at 4 for Talk El Paso on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Big interview. You check your suit, your resume, your palms. But wait, did you check your breath? Get Smart Mouth, the only mouthwash that provides 24 hours of fresh breath with just 2 rinses a day. Find Smart Mouth in the mouthwash aisle at Dollar General or get 20% off at smartmouth.com/radio. This report is sponsored by Smart Mouth, the only 24-hour mouthwash with twice daily use.
News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day. Keeping you informed and up to date. El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM. News Radio 690 KTSM.
It is important to take care of your health in a variety of ways. We talk a decent amount about that, but something that you need to know that is available in town, a new technique to help you manage your health and also, frankly, figure out things that may be going on that other methods can't even detect at certain early points. We're talking about thermography here, which is essentially a heat map for your body that can help you understand things that the naked eye can't see, and again, detect things before other methods like mammography and others can figure out because of just how it works. It's an FDA-approved process, particularly for detecting breast cancer, and they've extended their $50 off benefit of all breast thermograms through the end of the year to highlight how important it is to stay on top of your health and know what's going on with these potentially very serious conditions, particularly if you're in those risk groups. So you can find them online at elpasothermography.com or call them at 915-401-4053. That's 915-401-4053. Or again, log on to elpasothermography.com. That's El Paso, TheRmography.com.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thanks for tuning in, however you may be doing so. A lot of ways to interact with the show, particularly as we are opening up the phone lines this segment and taking more of those comments on the many social media pages. We're out on there now, multi-platform, definitely the way of the future here to make sure that whatever is going on in the individual decisions, we're still able to get to you. And for my on-air audience, you are very much loved. Do not forget that. But this is also particularly now your time to call in if you want to. That number to do so, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. We also have Maria Common, John Brazelton, Leslie Jones, Edgar Ortiz, Kevin Winsley, or Chuck a little bit earlier, and more, all chiming in over there, letting us know what they think about the big subject of the day. No surprise there. The announcement of the gubernatorial run of Robert Francis Beto O'Rourke. And all that comes with that, bringing a lot of that down here. We'll talk more about that. Also, Talk El Paso brought to you in part by Monterey Asset Management. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, consider investing in real estate. Monterey manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See their new website, m1ep.com and numeral1ep.com to learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate. You can call certified property manager Ray at 915-592-4549. That's 915-592-4549. Thank you to our sponsors. Please support them as they support us in our continued mission to have live local talk radio back here in the borderland, because no one else is going to talk about this stuff the way that we are here in our local area. And I fully support the idea that all politics is local. Maria Coleman making a comment here saying this is definitely another example of why it is always important to vote to decide what type of state you want to live in. In 2020's election, highlighted elections indeed have consequences. Wholeheartedly agree with you here. Leslie Jones also chiming in, not liking the way that when a Democrat says democracy, what they mean is oligarchy. I mean, there's going to be a lot of opinions about this, a lot of analysis going on. This is just the early announcement here and early responses. There's going to be a whole lot more to get into over this whole election cycle. Again, going to be very curious to see how, frankly, the Abbott campaign pivots based off of this, if they're really going to embrace it and show what my suspicion is that they are actually very, very happy that they have such a, particularly for the other side of the aisle, polarizing candidate out there that will then, I mean, the press releases write themselves, don't they? So we'll see how that evolves. We'll keep on top of this as we go forth. But of course, with it coming out today, very much a hot topic. So John Brosnan also adding that make sure you're around to count the votes. Okay, all I'm going to say about that here in Texas is that Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has said that this was the most secure election Texas has ever held. And even though they are supporting other investigations and other methods to make it more, okay, if you're worried about an election of any of the elected officials here in Texas, which one needs to go back to an election is the question it comes down to for me. But focusing on the stuff we got here today, again, opening up those phone lines as well, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Right now, we do have Raul in the Northeast on the line. Raul, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew. Well, as you know, it's a huge news day, above and beyond Beto announcing that he's running for governor. I'm not a big Beto fan, but he'd still be better than Bofo Abbott. I have four quick points that I'd like to make. President Biden, as you know, signed the biggest infrastructure bill ever in American history. Trump billed himself as a successful businessman, a builder. He talked all the time about infrastructure and how he was going to build back America, but he didn't do it in 4 years. He couldn't do it. Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon surrendered himself to the FBI today rather than appearing before the January 6th commission. You know, Trump and his co-conspirators appear not to want the American people to know what the details and who were the leaders of this insurrection and Trump's coup on the Constitution and Congress. They really fear the ugly truth of America and its history of plutocracy, racism, social and environmental injustices. And they want everybody to forget of what happened on January 6th. It's not a big deal. They want everybody to move on. No, we're not going to move on. 81 million Americans want to know the truth of what happened there. New emails reveal that Trump and his allies attempted to politicize the CDC during the pandemic. Now, as you know, Trump at the beginning called the virus a Chinese hoax. And he said it was magically going to go away all on its own, just a few months after its discovery. But the problem with that is that he told Bob Woodward that the intelligence community had told him that the virus was deadly and that it spread easily, and that he purposely played it down so as not to panic Americans. Trump got the virus and then the vaccine and kept both of the things secret. So far, 750,000 Americans have died from that virus. And his incompetence and ineptitude in fighting the virus cost hundreds of thousands of Americans their lives, and in my opinion, make him guilty of manslaughter. Last but not least, today's inflation is principally caused by the pandemic, and it's the evisceration of the supply chain, labor, and demand, thus decreasing the supply of goods when we went into lockdown. And then when things started to turn around, demand went way up while supply was still short. So prices go up, and I guarantee you there's some price gouging going on there. I've already heard it, and you can bet for sure that happens on the part of the petro states like Saudi Arabia and Russia and these other countries, that all they have to do, it's not a free market. They want more money. They tighten up the supply. They don't want to hurt their customers that bad, so they loosen it up. It's a game. It's not a free market.
I mean, it's literally a cartel at that point. So, I mean, I wasn't around at that point in time, but I think there might be more than a few people out there who remember when there was the embargo happening against the United States. So it's not at all unfamiliar that there are decisions being made, but even to just a business sense, I'm sure that OPEC is excited as heck that there are increases in prices happening here, because it literally means more money from them and doesn't really incentivize them to make more production. The only really reason they did it, and the lead up to America becoming the number one net exporter of oil, they were a net producer in any case, was because they were worried about losing market share. It wasn't even well, we won't make as much money. It's well, they're making more money than we are now. So it's a whole complex issue there. And again, I mean, as much as there might be a candidacy coming for the former president at this point, we'll see. But particularly on Steve Bannon, I do think that there was an assumption of stepping in, and frankly, there hasn't been much stepping in on the part of the former president in his particular case here. So we had calls last week saying, hey, let's just go there and make your own plead the fifth thing. But we'll see how that works out. I would very much, and I think a lot of people would like to see I don't think anyone wants to forget January 6th. A lot of people, I mean, particularly questions that we get from callers bringing up on this show are about what happened, and let's get to the bottom of it here. All right. Let's get to at least one more call here before we hit this next break. Again, that number to call, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. We do have Tony on the west side here. Tony, thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon. Two items very quickly. A translation from our previous caller in a summary would be Trump did not do enough. And the second part, because we did all we could, so he couldn't do enough. So that's what that was about. Because, the Democrats spent 90% of their time while Trump was president, not letting him do anything, but investigating a farce. Anyway, my main point, this one, and on Beto, I have good news and bad. Hear ye, people of El Paso. The good news is Beto's platform is cuckoo. I mean, we are a right to life people. We're mainly a Christian nation. We don't believe in funding abortions at the last day right before birth. So that's ridiculous. Number two, we're also pro Second Amendment, which means we want to defend our families against criminals. That's a big issue. And of course, Beto's on the wrong side of that. But that's the good news. Now, the bad news is that there's a lot of people about, maybe 49, hopefully 49 or less % of the people in Texas that will vote. Cuckoo.
That's a pretty big question that does remain to be seen here. Again, even by their own admitted efforts through the Power by People organization, hundreds of thousands more supposedly coming through that. I don't know if there's any independent verification of that. But we'll see what happens in the primaries. That'll be the first real electoral test here and really set the stage then for what comes up next November here. We are due for a break right now. So coming back from the break, we will get to more of these comments and calls in the line again. That number to call, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. A lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of ways to break this down. Focusing on it today here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Back with more Talk El Paso after this break. I don't know if you heard that forecast, but we got some temperature changes coming up here. But you still got some time to act. Beat the rush anyway of everyone that is then waking up to the idea of, oh, hey, maybe my heater isn't working the way I wanted it to, and I'm not comfortable in my home. You can avoid that situation entirely for yourself by acting now and giving the air conditioning company a call. It helps you in a variety of ways, both the comfort level, but also savings and peace of mind. Specifically, if you have an older system, there are a couple disadvantages that can come with that, in that it can be less efficient and have less safety standards and safety devices built into it. So get all of that fixed and lock in some of the best prices of the year and save up to 25% by calling the air conditioning company at 915-842-8615. That's 915-842-8615. Or log on to airconditioningcompanyllc.com. That's airconditioningcompanyllc.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
There's heavy traffic on the 10 westbound between Wyoming and Santa Fe Street. Also look out for an accident that could cause delays on Viscount Boulevard eastbound just east of Airway Boulevard. And the connecting roadway is closed on Gateway Boulevard southbound at Paisano Drive. Also, the off-ramp is closed on the Loop 375 southbound at Alameda Avenue. I'm Marae Jourdain with El Paso Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's Breakfast Biscuit Sandwich. Just $1. Wendy's knows a better breakfast starts with a better biscuit. That's why you can get a hot and buttery Wendy's breakfast biscuit with bacon or sausage, fresh cracked egg, and cheese for just $1. Get your Wendy's Buck Biscuit Sandwich today. Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
What happens if we find the home we want, but somebody else just got to it quicker? What if we can't sell our existing home on time and we get stuck with 2 mortgages? I know. I've been there, and I have a solution. Listen carefully. You just need to call Brian Birds of eXp Realty. He'll guarantee your home will sell on time, or he's going to buy it himself. You'll get the home you want, and you don't have to worry about getting stuck with the burden of 2 mortgages. Hundreds of home sellers and renters trust Brian, and you can trust him as well. Connect personally with Brian today at 751-1500. That's 751-1500. Or go to brianbirds.com. That's Brian, BURDS.com.
Hey, El Paso, have you heard? To sell your home guarantee, call Brian Birds. Go to brianbirds.com.
There's no place like home for the holidays, except when you're stuck sleeping on the pull-out couch in the basement. This year, I'm resting my head at Red Roof in my own comfortable, affordable, and clean space. You know, you can save up to 20% this holiday season at Red Roof locations. Plus, pets stay free at Red Roof, so Fluffy can come along for the holiday fun. This holiday season, book your own space at redroof.com and save up to 20%.
For the local issues and discussion you won't get anywhere else, turn to Talk El Paso, weekdays at 4 right here on News Radio 690 KTSM, brought to you in part by the Air Conditioning Company. Sound off on what matters to you, Monday through Friday, 4 to 5 p.m., and let's talk El Paso.
Hi, Phil Swift here for the Flex Seal family of products. You know, there's a lot of ways to protect your home. You could dig a moat. You could bubble wrap it. Or you could train a pack of wolves to protect it. But the best way is with the Flex Seal family of products. So when you need to patch, bond, seal, repair, and stop leaks fast, get the Flex Seal family of products. Available at flexsealproducts.com and fine retailers.
Big interview. You check your suit, your resume, your palms. But wait, did you check your breath? Get Smart Mouth, the only mouthwash that provides 24 hours of fresh breath with just 2 rinses a day. Find Smart Mouth in the mouthwash aisle at Dollar General or get 20% off at smartmouth.com/radio.
Monterey Asset Management, superior multifamily property management services citywide.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. Talking about a lot of things here today, but a lot of focus coming down to that major campaign announcement, which is going to take up a lot of air in the room for the politics of Texas anyway, for about the next year. Buckle up, kiddos. It's going to be an interesting ride. So if you want to call in, we'll squeeze in what we can. 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Also, those pound 250 calls, don't forget about that, because that's another way you can leave your message, particularly after the show or before the next one. You got a pressing thought you want to get in. You do that by, again, calling pound 250. Has to be on a cell phone or a smart device there, because it's a digital call. So pound 250, those four symbols, and say the keyword Talk El Paso, and you can leave your own message like this.
This is Sophia Frankie. I want to share with you some absolutely giddy news that came across the wire today. Is that disgusting human, Alex Jones, has been found guilty of defamation relative to that December 2012 shooting, terrible shooting in Sandy Hook. Okay? So that means he is going to get his pathetic pants sued off. Oh boy, oh boy. Now that's going to make him just so mad, such a loser. Maybe he could go see Donnie Dotard and say, hey, I'm a loser, and maybe you can help me out. But Donnie Dotard hates losers. I just think that was just such wonderful news. I thought I'd share that with you and everybody else out there in the Southwest Florida region.
I got to say, I appreciate Alex Jones, if only as an example of sometimes what I don't want to do, particularly when it goes in drinking your own Kool-Aid sometimes, but also an understanding that not having a focus and only just trying to get as many views as possible is maybe not necessarily the best way to go about things, because a principled show and one where we have discussion and things like this and community input, I think makes a community stronger here, which is why I also got to laugh when some people just demonstrate their complete lack of understanding of the concept of things like this. So anyway, getting to a couple more calls on the line here. We do have also a lot of comments on here. Leslie Jones saying that don't deny that O'Rourke will get votes in Dallas, Houston, and the People's Republic of Austin, but he can't win unless. And then also some more commentary about some of our other quoters and commentators here. But I think that it's, there's a lot of analysis going on and a lot of discussion to be made. Maria Coleman saying specifically, it'll be very interesting to see Beto's full platform. Will he align completely with Dem policies, or will he deviate somewhat to distance himself from Biden and Harris due to their low approval ratings? This is the initial stuff. There's going to be a whole lot more to come, and we'll keep on top of it here. But get into those last couple of calls we got time for on the line here. We do have Tom on the west side. Tom, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. It's interesting that Beto is going to go ahead and run for governor here against Greg Abbott, when you have something very simple that you can compare in terms of states and how they're run. You look at just California compared to Texas and what Gavin Newsom just went through. And I would say that Beto O'Rourke basically is essentially the exact same type candidate or person that would lead or run the state in the same way as Gavin Newsom. So it doesn't make sense that he would really go for this. I guess the Democrats just don't have anybody else that has any prominence to be able to put up against Abbott. And then the other thing is, why would people just want this? I mean, what's on his platform that would make Texas better? I don't know, just putting that out to you just to let you kind of answer from that standpoint.
No, that's a very important point, one I'm going to be watching very closely. Again, what we played today, the basic points of the narrative of starting at least with the whole power outage of last February, and then getting into really only a couple of policy points here. Specific ones mentioned, among other things, were legalization of marijuana and then opposition to the constitutional permitless carry and abortion rulings here in Texas. Those are the only real kind of tidbits. Not much on the website, not much else. So I'm sure that'll be coming out here, I hope, before too long, because otherwise it's kind of like a contentless campaign. But we'll definitely, as we get more coming out of that, bring it to you as well. So thank you for those points there. It just reminds me, before we get to the last call here, of a New York Times opinion article. I had mentioned it last week. We didn't actually get into it, and I know that's a dirty word for some of you all, but it's titled "Blue States, You're the Problem. Why do states with Democratic majorities fail to live up to their values?" It's both a a written out op-ed and a decent video out there being made about, okay, in the states where Democrats have these majorities and supermajorities, what actually happens. So just that reminds me of that. And take a look for yourself. Just suggestion here. All right. Trying to get to one more quick call on the line here. We do have Andrew on the west side here. Andrew, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think O'Rourke would be a divisive candidate. For one thing, like I said, he's no friend of the Second Amendment. And number two, he's on record as wanting to tear down the border fence.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say no friend of the Second Amendment, it's not just AR-15s and AK-47s that he wants to take away. I should say AK-47 style weapons. AK-47s themselves are fully automatic, and you cannot own them unless you pay an exorbitant tax and go through a investigation. With regard to that Raul character, being so law and order, I never hear him say anything about the Durham report, where 3 people have been indicted for perpetuating a false narrative and lying to the FBI, to the point where Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff carried the political football, knowing that this information was inaccurate. And we even have people within the FBI lying to the FISA court, saying that a document was valid and giving a bald-faced lie to the FISA court in order to spy on a presidential campaign. That's all I got to say. Have a good evening.
No, sure thing. Thank you for those points and comments there. I mean, there's a whole lot more going into all of this, and you know what? We'll have to leave it there for today because we're out of time, but we'll do it again tomorrow, 4 to 5 p.m. right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Thank everyone who did tune in, call in, comment, be a part of the show here. You're what makes this work and why we continue bringing back live local talk radio to the borderline so we can have this discussion, and we'll keep doing it Monday through Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. I'm out of here. Stay safe out there. Look twice for motorcycles when out on the road, and have a great evening, y'all. See you tomorrow. With another Medicare moment with Eric with Advocate Health Advisors now. Is there a lot of confusion with the VA and Medicare working together?
Unfortunately, there is, due to the misconception that Medicare benefits negatively affect your VA health care. You know, almost 60% of veterans aren't enrolled in their VA benefits. And what we do is we help them to coordinate these two. We partner with local certified veteran service officers to get veterans the expertise they need on how to navigate their health benefits through the VA. Then we provide options and choices to add a complementary Medicare plan to that.
So for more info about this, call Eric, your local advisor, wherever you're hearing this broadcast, at 1-800-876-0214. That's 1-800-876-0214.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
There's heavy traffic on the 10 westbound between Wyoming and Santa Fe Street. Also look out for an accident that could cause delays on Viscount Boulevard eastbound just east of Airway Boulevard. And the connecting roadway is closed on Gateway Boulevard southbound at Paisano Drive. Also, the off-ramp is closed on the Loop 375 southbound at Alameda Avenue. I'm Marae Jourdain with El Paso Traffic.
Freedom of speech lives here.
To me, freedom of speech is being able to say anything you want.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM. There won't be much substance on your news feed until you add us. Just like us or click on the link at kcsmradio.com. News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. The big infrastructure bill is in the books.
I know you're tired of the bickering in Washington.